The sky over the small town of Maple Ridge was painted in shades of gray, the kind of dull morning that seemed to hold its breath before the rain began. At the edge of town stood the Maple Ridge animal shelter, a quiet building with a flickering neon sign that read Hope Haven. Inside, the air smelled faintly of disinfectant and wet fur, and the low hum of fluorescent lights filled the silence between the barks and whimpers of restless dogs. Down the narrow hallway, past rows of kennels filled with wagging tails and pleading eyes, there was one cage no one ever stopped at. A large, muscular Rottweiler sat there, his name printed on a worn-out card, Ranger. Underneath his name, someone had written in bold red letters, Aggressive. Keep distance. His black fur was streaked with scars, one ear slightly torn. His amber eyes were cold and still, the kind that made even the most experienced volunteers hesitate. Ranger had been there longer than any other dog. People passed by, drawn to friendlier faces, and whispered stories about him, stories of fights, of danger, of hopelessness. No one knew exactly what he'd been through. He'd been found chained to a post behind an abandoned warehouse, starved, trembling, his chain digging into the skin of his neck. The day they brought him in, he growled so loudly that the animal control officer refused to go near him again. Since then, he'd been the shelter's ghost, a body without trust, a heart without hope. Every morning, volunteer Diane would slide his food bowl inside and whisper softly, "Hang in there, big guy." But he never wagged his tail, never moved closer, just watched, silent and unreadable. At night, when the lights went out and the shelter quieted, his deep, haunting howls filled the halls, long, aching sounds that seemed to come from a place deeper than pain itself. The staff said he was too far gone. Some dogs, they said, couldn't be fixed. But that was before Lila Hart came through the doors. It was a bright Saturday morning when the little bell above the entrance rang. Lila's mother, Emma, guided her wheelchair inside, her hands gentle on the handles. The 9-year-old girl wore a yellow sweater, her brown hair tied in 2 messy braids, and a small charm bracelet jingled around her wrist with every movement. Her eyes sparkled with quiet excitement, the kind of joy that could light up even the dullest places. "You sure about this, sweetheart?" Emma asked softly. "We're just looking today, okay?" Lila nodded, smiling. "I just want to meet them, Mom. All of them." The receptionist smiled warmly. "You picked a good day, honey. We've got some friendly pups waiting to say hi." As they moved through the aisles, Lila greeted each dog. A golden retriever licked her fingers through the bars. A small terrier barked excitedly, spinning in circles. Lila giggled, her laughter echoing through the shelter. But her gaze kept drifting toward the dark corner at the end of the hallway. When they reached it, the atmosphere changed. Volunteers exchanged nervous glances. "That one," whispered Diane, stepping forward. "Maybe we skip him. He's not safe around people." Ranger lifted his head slowly. His deep growl rumbled through the bars. The air seemed to tighten. But Lila didn't flinch. Instead, she tilted her head slightly as if she heard something no one else could. "What's his name?" she asked. "Ranger," Diane replied, her voice uneasy. "But he's not like the others. I want to meet him," Lila interrupted, her voice calm but firm. Emma hesitated. "Lila, honey, please." But the girl's eyes were locked on Ranger's. Something in those eyes, the sadness, the loneliness, mirrored her own. "Just for a minute," Lila whispered. Diane sighed and stepped aside. "All right, but stay back." As Emma wheeled her daughter closer, every volunteer stopped what they were doing. Ranger's eyes followed the movement of the chair. His muscles tensed, his tail stiff. "Easy, big guy," Diane murmured under her breath. Lila leaned slightly forward. Her voice came out soft, barely above a whisper. "Hi." Ranger's growl deepened. His nails scraped against the concrete. Lila didn't back away. "You don't want me here, huh?" "That's okay. I didn't want to be where I ended up either." The room fell silent. Even the barking from other kennels seemed to fade. "I know what it's like to be scared," she said. "To think no one will ever understand." Her mother's eyes filled with tears. For the first time, Ranger didn't growl. His head tilted slightly. The tension in his body shifted just a little. "You're not mean," Lila whispered. "You're just hurt." And then she reached out her hand. Emma gasped. "Lila, no!" But before anyone could pull her back, Ranger moved, slowly, carefully. He sniffed the air, the tip of his nose trembling. Inch by inch, he stepped forward until his nose brushed against her fingertips, through the cold metal bars. The growl in his throat melted into a quiet whimper. His eyes closed. Lila smiled through tears. "See? You're not bad at all." Ranger let out a long, shuddering breath. Then, for the first time in months, he sat down, calm, still, peaceful. The staff stood frozen. Diane covered her mouth. He's never done that before." Emma knelt beside her daughter, her voice shaking. "How did you—" "I just listened," Lila said softly. "He's sad. I can feel it." From that moment, something changed. Every day after school, Lila and her mom visited the shelter. Ranger began to wait by the door of his cage as if counting the minutes until she arrived. At first, he would only watch her from a distance, but soon he started wagging his tail, just a little. Then he began to eat from her hand. Within weeks, the dog who once growled at everyone would press his massive head against the bars whenever Lila was near, letting her small hands scratch behind his ears. The staff couldn't believe it. "It's like she unlocked something inside him," Diane said one evening. Then came the day everyone had been waiting for. Adoption Day. Emma wasn't sure. "Are you positive, sweetheart?" "He's a big dog." Lila nodded firmly. "He needs us, Mom, and maybe we need him too." The paperwork was signed, and when Ranger stepped out of that cage, the whole shelter went silent. He didn't pull, didn't bark, just walked beside Lila's wheelchair, his eyes soft and alert, like he understood exactly what was happening. Outside, the sun broke through the clouds for the first time that day. As they left the shelter, Diane whispered, "I think you just witnessed a miracle." The weeks that followed were filled with moments that melted every heart on their street. Ranger learned to walk gently beside the wheelchair, never pulling too far ahead. When Lila dropped something, he'd pick it up and place it in her lap. When she laughed, he wagged his tail. But one evening, everything changed again. Lila and her mom were returning from the park when a loud bang echoed down the street. A car backfiring. The sudden noise sent Ranger into panic. He barked, eyes wide, muscles tight. For a moment, it was as if the past came rushing back. Lila froze, her hands trembling. "Ranger, it's okay," she whispered. "You're safe." The dog's breathing quickened, his tail tucked between his legs. Emma tried to pull Lila's chair back, but the girl shook her head. "No, let me talk to him." Ranger stared at her, confused, scared. Lila leaned forward, her voice calm and steady. "Remember what I told you? You're not alone anymore. You're home." Ranger blinked. His ears drooped. Then slowly he stepped closer. He pressed his forehead gently against her knee. Emma covered her mouth, tears spilling over. That night, as they sat on the porch together, Ranger rested his head on Lila's lap while she whispered stories to him about school, her dreams, and how sometimes she still felt scared too. He listened, really listened, like he understood every word.